for all of you people who are looking to gain the international experience when it comes to their higher education, be it bachelor's, master's or PhD, at the end of your degree, you are going to be looking for a job. Now, I'm here to tell you how the process of getting a job, how the process of securing a job is very different in India as compared to how it is in the US. So, all of you people who have been familiarized with this process of on-campus companies coming onto the campus because the training and placement cell is just kind of trying to persuade so many companies to come here and interview the students, shortlist them, and basically hire them. It's very different in the case of the US universities. So let's try and take a look at the differences. Let's try to get ourselves familiarized with the process so that we know what we are getting ourselves into. So we realize that in India what happens is that the training and placement cell basically persuades the company to come here, and then a series of interviews basically take place. First there's an online test, and then there's probably sometimes there's a GD, that's a group discussion, and then technical interview, HR interview, whatever it is. Basically these are the kind of steps that's taken, and everything just takes place on campus and everything just gets over in one day, sometimes even less than one day, probably a few hours, and you have the job in your hands. That is how the process takes place in India, but that is not how it happens in countries like US and Canada. What's the difference? Well, companies like to interact and get to know the people that they're going to be hiring. So they like to get to know the people, they like to get to know the candidates, and only on the basis of that they hire students. So really the on-campus placement process is very different. First of all, the main difference is that they do not have a training and placement cell which is consisting of students, as in the case of Indian universities. Students manage everything, and basically there are very less employees and very many students as compared to the employees who are managing the training and placement cell. It's almost 90% students at times. But in the case of US, you will have a dedicated career center which is responsible for everything, be it your interviews, your selection process, everything is handled by the career center. So they take care of the resume writing, the placement awareness, the interviews, everything, the career fairs, everything is taken care of by the career center. So the career fair is very different. It'll be like a 2 or 3 day event. You'll be given a name tag. You will be able to interact with, well, there's really hundreds of companies, sometimes even 400 to 500 companies that you can interact with. You can actually directly talk to the recruiters, which is usually not the case in India. You do not get to interact firsthand with the recruiter. Not unless you actually clear the online test or you have a great GPA where they shortlist you and then you really get to talk to them. But this isn't the case in the US. Now on each day you'll be able to interact with a maximum of, let's say, 20-25 companies, not more than that. Because not only are you trying to advertise yourself to the company, but the company is also trying to advertise them back to you. So they want to make sure that their presence gets increased. And the best way to do that is to get in the minds, get in the heads of the people who are graduating right now. So the awareness about the company. Now, how you really get an interview out of this event is really different. Okay, so it can be anything really. It can start with a dinner between the two parties. So really the recruiters and the students can have a dinner together first, a professional dinner, and from the next day they can, have these stalls. But usually the stalls are the main part of the interview process. But again, if you have an event like a dinner or anything, do not skip it. It's again a great opportunity for you to advertise yourself or get to meet some of the people and network with them effectively. Alright. Now, during these 2 or 3 days, what you have to do is you have to first, really the process begins way back. When you know that these 500 companies are coming to your campus, you're going to have a list of these companies. Now what you want to do is you want to select the best companies that are really, the best company is really, no company is best. I mean the companies which are a great fit for you, and that's what makes them the best. Alright, according to the skills they are looking for and according to the skills you can offer them, really it's kind of like supply and demand. So you're going to be trading your skills, and if they have a requirement, they will select you. Alright, but the selection process is not that simple. So let's go over that. So first of all, when the company set up these booths, what you have to do is go to each booth So you have shortlisted, let's say 20-25 companies for the first day. Now you're going and looking at each of these booths, and you see that maybe the first one is occupied. So you have two options really. You can either wait, or you can move on to the next stall and come back to this one later. Alright, so accordingly you plan your day and you try to get the best out of everything. So let's say you find a recruiter, maybe after waiting, or maybe after maybe you just find him free. Alright, so you go to him, you talk to him, you network with him, you try to sell yourself to him while he tries to sell you the company. Alright, now really the selling you the company part is really just advertising. They want to increase their presence, but at the same time you will take your resume to him and talk to him about the kind of business they do, and at the same time you will talk about the kind of projects that you are interested in and about the kind of work you do. If there's a match, you give him your resume and he will give you your business card. Now each of you have one thing from each other. Basically, it's really a mutual contact. So you can contact him and at the same time he can contact you. Alright, so it really depends from company to company. At times you can even be given, let's say, tests. Suppose you are a computer science student, they might tell you to write some code. It can be really anything. They might even ask you to do that on spot. They might want to do that on campus. They might even want to do that on premises of the company. So it really depends on the company's comfort. It's really not up to you. It's really about the company's culture and the kind of practice that's been going on over there. Your job as a student attending the fair is to fetch as many business cards as you can and go home and contact these recruiters via email. So really, once you have these cards, you can just contact them via email. You can remind them of who you are. Maybe you talked about something and it really just clicks, so you want to remind him of that. At the same time, the recruiter can also contact you. It really depends on the company. Like I said, since he has your resume, and if he thinks that you are a great fit, even he can contact you. So really there's an exchange going on over here, and accordingly, on the basis of that, you have the chance to get an interview. You can also grow your professional network on sites like LinkedIn and make sure that maybe you know someone on the inside, and maybe you can persuade them to vouch for you, and if they do that, you will be again good to go because you will have an interview at the end of the day. Really, the purpose of a career fair is to get you the interview. So once you have the interview, you're getting the job is totally dependent on your skill. If you have the necessary skill, then you will get the job, and you just need to clear the interview, that's all. So again, it's all about networking at these events. Again, if you are from a good university, one of the top 10 universities, let's say, it's going to be really easy because you'll have a whole lot more companies. And if you are from a relatively lower ranked university, of course you will face some troubles because the companies coming to your campus might be a little lesser, but it really depends. Top 50 universities, almost every company will come to them, so really you shouldn't worry about it so much. Now the only part that you need to get right is the networking. You need to know how to network correctly, and once you learn the skill of networking, trust me, it's a skill. Once you learn the skill, you can network, you can really easily, you can influence the people, and you can at least get yourself an interview. After that, it's completely dependent on your skill. So if you are really skillful at what you are doing, then you are going to get the job. However, if you do not know what you have been studying, if you're not even aware of the subjects, if you don't know the algorithms, whatever it is, really subject to subject this matters, it's gonna cost you. So be prepared for that. Again, I'm gonna make a completely separate video on how you network and influence people, but really it's gonna take some time because I'm planning on reading a book about it, and I actually have it probably on the 4th, 5th number in the pipeline. I read a lot of books, so the thing is that I have to finish those 4 books before I get to that. So anyway, that video is on its way, but it'll take some time. Finally, the influence that networking will have on your getting the job is fairly good, but at the same time it's fairly limited. So let's take the scenario of a great school. The thing is that it's in the top 5 schools in the US. What happens is that you have a great chance of getting the interview just because you belong to that school. and the school's name carries a lot of weight, so you might even actually get the job at times, but mostly it's just going to take you as far as getting you the interview. Once you get the interview, again, it depends on your skill. However, still having a strong network is a great asset, because at the same time you will have people on the inside who can vouch for you, that will help you in getting the job, not just the interview. The next case is the case of you going to a substandard university that's not very highly ranked. Now, this requires proactive effort on your part. You might not have as many opportunities, you might not have as many interviews. You'll need to actually network a lot more. You'll have to go online, search for a lot of opportunities. I'm not saying that people from great colleges shouldn't do that, they should too, but they have it a little more easier. It's really about getting the interview. Once you get that, anyone can have the skill, no matter which school they belong to, no matter which university they belong to. But if you belong to a lower grade university, there are chances that your career center might not have as many opportunities as in the case of the top 5, top 10 schools. You can also go for internships. If you get a great internship and your performance during the internship is persistently great, you will be able to actually convert that into a full-time job, and that happens very often, and it's really easy to kind of see through. If you really the thing is that you need to get the internship in the first place, and then you can perform well. So some people don't even get the internship. If you are able to fetch that internship, you can actually fetch the job much more easily. I personally know a lot of people who have gone through this path and have secured themselves jobs in the US. Finally, the job prospects also depend on certain other factors. They can depend on your course. For example, CS is bound to have a lot more opportunities than other courses, just because it's really in demand right now. And it also depends on your work experience. If you have been working in the industry, if you are working professional previously, maybe you were, that also counts. Also, the area where you are residing in, where your university is. For example, in California you might have a lot more opportunities than in the case of Ohio, something like that. So really, it's a blend of a lot of things, but what remains common is that you should have the necessary skill. If you do, you will be able to secure something or the other. That's a definite yes. So again guys, thank you for watching this video. If you would like to get in touch with me personally, you can go onto my Instagram page and contact me. You can also join the WhatsApp or the Facebook groups. The links are in the description. If you like this video, if you think this brings value to even, my purpose is to bring value to at least a few people, and that's really good for me. If it does, just give me a like and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. I'll see you in the next one.